Throw me a frickin' bonus here.
This is your main event, Mark's Bonus Podcast, brought to you by Belly Up Unhinged Radio Network Sports. I'm your first host, lifelong wrestling fan, former radio guy, cat dad, and this Christmas, I'll deliver my package to your back door as long as you promise to handle with care. I am Troy, and with me as always is the main event collector and figure hunting warrior. He's the ECW Encyclopedia of Classic Wrestling, and the 911 to my Paul Heyman. It's Greg. What's up, Greg?
I'm just trying to piece together that intro you did. What the hell?
Which part of it?
Mainly the back door, but
does anybody remember that movie Chuck and Larry? I'm getting a different.
I knew exactly where it came from. I'm not questioning that, but
yeah, right. Well,
weird.
Hey, I'm expanding our Adam Sandler references here. I had to get a different one in. That one, I don't think we're going to be getting many references into that one, but it is bonus show time, man. And that means we're only a couple of days away from Christmas. We are in the midst of Hanukkah at this time. So happy holidays, everybody. And we're almost done for the year.
The Christmas, the dreidel, the menorah, the Christmas tree, the dreidel menorah, all that stuff.
The Festivus pole. Yeah.
Go whole hog, man.
Yeah, exactly. Have them all out at the same time. Confuse the neighbors. Speaking of confusing the neighbors.
What the hell's going on over there?
Yeah, right. Well, speaking of confusing the neighbors, ladies and gentlemen, today we are going back to another timepiece, and this one is ECW in the year 1995.
I may have another volley.
Yeah, well, we always do this week in ECW, but since we're going through the entire year of 1995 and all the biggest news and notes from ECW in that year, because everything seems like 1995 was the nucleus of a lot of stuff we talk about. How and why.
Not on purpose, but yes, it is.
Yeah. It just so happens that even though this year kind of sucked, there's a lot of big stuff that happened that you can't ignore in 95. So we're going to be talking about that. And I feel it's appropriate that this podcast, instead of This Week in ECW, we go, This Year in ECW.
It really sucks, sir.
It did. Oddly enough, now, I didn't care for ECW. Even looking back, I didn't care for ECW in 95. I've seen some of their shows.
I'm going to go ahead and say I didn't even know it existed in 95 in real time, but
yeah, no, I wasn't watching wrestling at this time, and then when I finally did discover ECW in the late 90s, I was like, ew.
Yeah.
I watched it like once, and I'm like, oh, it's wrestling, so I'll watch it. And I'm like, yeah, it's kind of wrestling.
Sure. Huh.
Yeah, I didn't care.
And the
for
XFL is kind of football.
Yeah, right. Well, hey, Greg, it's launching for the third time, and it's got The Rock as one of the main guys. So they're serious now. It's gonna be real.
So was DC, good. But that's a different story. But
oh man. Hey everybody, check out my videos. We've been posting on YouTube. I got some updates on various things from DC. I'm excited for it, but numbers don't lie, and Warner Brothers Discovery is not exactly in the greatest spot right now. But past all that, what was also not in a good spot in 1995 or ever really was ECW, and we're going to be talking about all of that today.
I wouldn't say ever, but for the most part,
financially,
it had its times.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, like financially, they were never well off. Yeah, they were.
You gotta use specifics, dude.
And if you want to talk about, they were never in a good place. I mean, they did most of their shows in Philadelphia, and that's not a good place. So
I got to keep my mouth shut because I'm going there in 2024, and I don't want anyone to shank me. So
yeah, well,
I mean, even though Philly sucks, but I didn't say that.
Look, I hate Pennsylvania. Okay, I'm not saying necessarily everybody in Pennsylvania. All right, because I have friends who live in Pennsylvania. I just hate the state. Screw them.
Hey, I like Punxsutawney Phil.
Yeah, you like the gopher or whatever the hell is it? A gopher? Or a groundhog. My bad. Same. I think it's.
I thought you were making a joke because I thought it looks like a damn gopher to me. I mean, it looks just like the one in Caddyshack. So whatever.
Why does it? Bill Murray always works with gophers.
It's his thing.
Yeah, right. Are you want me to kill all the golfers? I don't think I can do that. But anyway, God, we're getting off the rails already. But real quick, before we get into our, I know, before we get into our first break here, time out here real quick to let you know that the Main Event Marks is sponsored by Swift Lifestyles. They are clean energy drinks and focus enhancers, great tasting vitamins, and big brain nootropics that are made and shipped from the USA. Go to swiftlifestyles.com and use our special promo code Main Event Marks, all one word, to get 15% off your order. It's Main Event Marks, all one word, to get 15% off your order at checkout. But now we're going to get into our first break, and even though you should have put your orders in before, like way before now, if you wanted something for the holidays, you can still get yourself or a loved one a late Christmas or Hanukkah present by ordering it on our Bonfire or Redbubble stores that we'll talk about in the upcoming break. Also, we have a brand new design on the Bonfire website, or in the Bonfire store, rather, that says that is correct. So go check that out. It looks like our Main Event Marks logo, but it says that is correct because we say it all the damn time on the show. So,
and they got 1 million retweets, by the way. I'm hoping that translates to something.
Yeah, right.
Thanks to everyone for showing support. Like exactly. I swear, every time I open Twitter, 5 people retweeted this. Holy crap! Thanks.
Yeah. I know. I thank you all. I hope that means some of you will not just retweet it, but actually buy it. So, show
correct.
Exactly. Show some love that way.
How do you not love Chris Farley? I dare you to say you don't.
Exactly. And I recently found out David Spade said before he died there were talks of they were going to do a Gap Girls movie. Do you remember that skit?
Holy crap! Yes.
And
I would have watched it, but I'm not sitting there pining for it.
Yeah, right. My wife was like, "Oh, that would have been funny." I'm like, "No. The 3 to 4 minute skits were funny. A 2-hour movie would have been like, all right, this is a joke that went on way too damn long." Like Night at the Roxbury.
Night at the Roxbury is the exact one I was going to say.
Yep. I loved the skits. I watched the movie and was like, my God, like the skit won't end. But either way, we are going to dive into our first break. Speaking of something that won't end, we're going to get into ECW in the year 1995. We're diving in head first right after this break. Follow the Main Event Marks at facebook.com/Main Event Marks Pod, on Twitter at Main Event _Marks, and on Instagram both at Main Event _Marks and at Main Event Collector.
It's that time of year where the Christmas holiday is upon us.
And when Santa squeezes his fat white ass down that chimney tonight, he's gonna find the jolliest bunch of assholes this side of the nut house.
And that means you should check out our merchandise store over at bonfire.com/store/Main Event Marks. There's variations on the Main Event Marks podcast official logo, quotes and sayings from the show, and more. We've even got a Christmas themed design. But we didn't forget about our Jewish listeners celebrating Hanukkah.
I'm Jewish.
You can get you or your loved ones some great designs on t-shirts, tank tops, hoodies, and more. They make great gifts to yourself or for Christmas and Hanukkah.
Jewish!
Go to bonfire.com/store/Main Event Marks and get yourself the official merchandise of the Main Event Marks podcast. We do take requests, so hit us up on social media for more merch. And have yourself a happy holiday, Merry Christmas, or a happy Hanukkah.
And a Happy New Year.
By God! Somebody's interrupting the Main Event Marks! Sit down, JR. It's just me, Kyle Sullivan, a.k.a. Shaggy Von Doom, your host of Here in Puckburg on the Hockey Podcast Network. I know, a hockey show on the Main Event Marks. Who would have thought? This is an invasion angle. Somewhere between the Nexus and when WCW tried to invade WWE, somewhere in there. But I'm over here just telling you that one half of your tag team champions over here, Greg, he told his story of his love for the game of hockey over on my show. And if you'd like to hear that story, all you have to do is search Here in Puckburg wherever you get your podcast or on YouTube. In the meantime, Shagamania's got to go run wild on some other hockey show. So, just remember, quote the Raven, nevermore, take your vitamins, say your prayers, and oh yeah!
The Main Event Marks are available wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. Find all of our links on our link tree at linktr.ee/Main Event Marks. And we're back.
We're back.
Real quick, we want to let you know that the Main Event Marks is sponsored by Shock Energy. Shock Energy is a healthier alternative to traditional energy drinks that gives the energy that gamers need while in a long session without skimping on their health. Their products come in a powder form and you mix them into water. You can either choose from green apple or watermelon. You can also try both if you get their sample kit. Use our special link that is down in the podcast description, or you can simply go to shockedenergy.com at checkout. Use the promo code MAINEVENT, all one word, to save 10% on your order. That's promo code MAINEVENT, and you're going to save 10% at checkout. Do you like your coffee like you like your podcasts? Gimmick and politics free? Well, so do we here at the Main Event Marks, and so do the guys and gals at Coffee Brand Coffee, where they ditch the gimmicks. You see, when you buy your coffee from other roasters, chances are that they've been sitting on the shelf for heaven knows how long. Don't rob yourself of freshness. At Coffee Brand Coffee, they roast to order, ensuring that you get the freshest coffee possible. And as Greg will tell you, that's what counts. Coffee Brand Coffee offers bagged coffee as well as K-Cups, and for the non-coffee people, they offer a variety of teas and cocos. Just click on the link down in the podcast description or go to coffeebrandcoffee.com and use our promo code MAINEVENT, all one word, at checkout to get 5% off your order. That's coffeebrandcoffee.com, and use the promo code MAINEVENT to save 5% at checkout. Time to dive into some ECW, man.
Let's see if this comes across.
What the hell was that?
It's sparkling water. I don't have a can today.
Okay. I was like, what the? Well, I'm getting in the ECW mood, man. I'm sitting here with my glass full of moon mist. So from
what the hell?
It's the Faygo version of Mountain Dew. It's
when you said ECW, I thought you were gonna say you popped a beer or something.
Oh no, I not quite, but I'm getting all white trash with it and drinking Faygo.
Roll Tide.
It's for us poors. But
hey, it's not poor, it's thrifty. Okay?
I think, yeah, that too. Getting into January of 95 here. ECW recently tried to bring in Dan Severn to put over Dean Malenko, but Severn declined. I wonder why.
Wow. So they were trying to get him as far back as 95, huh?
Yeah. Look, I love Dean Malenko. He's, like, in his time, he was one of the best in the world, but he's kind of a little fouler, and Dan Severn was a much bigger star than he was, so yeah, and I don't think Paul Heyman had put aside your career endeavors and come put this guy over for me kind of money.
For $20.
Yeah, right. And then, speaking of people coming in and putting people over, Tully Blanchard is coming in to challenge Shane Douglas for the ECW title this week, January 9th, with the idea being that Tully is another member of Ric Flair's posse, and Douglas is basically fighting and beating anyone associated with Flair. What was his hard-on?
That was even my first thing I noticed, but yeah, wow.
Yeah. What was his hard-on for Ric Flair, man? That's what I want to know.
Flair didn't like him, or he said Flair didn't respect him. Remember, he said that whole thing where he asked Flair to watch a match, and he found out Flair didn't. After Flair said he did, it made him cry. Wow. If anybody's ever seen Iron Man 3, do you remember the beginning of it, where Tony Stark leaves that idiot on the roof, and that's how he becomes evil? It's the same exact freaking thing.
Oh, Lord.
Or like the Riddler in Batman Forever. Bruce Wayne doesn't like me, so I'm going to become evil and just, a dick.
Lord. Yeah, and he never lets it go. Paul Heyman for ECW was named the best booker of the year 1994 in the Wrestling Observer Year-End Awards. ECW also won the Best Weekly Show award.
That's not been ever seen by anybody, but yes, that makes sense.
So this is just a thing, huh? The new underdog on the block comes in and wins Booker of the Year and Show of the Year. Like,
how is Dave Meltzer not a freaking hipster? I don't like WWE because it's so mainstream.
Yeah, right.
Oh my god. And yet he never liked TNA, right? To my knowledge, right? Didn't he always give him crap?
No, he mostly crapped. Sometimes he was fair. I can't say he always was on their case, but he did crap on them a fair amount. Looking back, I can see some of his points about things. At the time, I was mad because I was a fan. But looking back on it, trying to be objective, I'm like, yeah, I can see his point. But yeah, man, I don't know about this. Getting back to a Shane and Tully thing. Shane Douglas and Tully Blanchard wrestled a 60-minute draw. I put that in quotation marks. Well, I put that in quotation marks because it was only really about 43 minutes. And it was
still way too damn long for these two in 1995.
Yeah. Well, and it was probably the worst received match in the history of the promotion. It was so bad that the fans turned their backs to the ring and began chanting, "We want bingo." And chanted for the match to end.
Holy crap.
Blanchard was
bingo. That sounds so fake.
Right. Blanchard was reportedly blown up within the first few minutes, so they spent much of the match doing long, boring rest holds. Fans booed every time.
As opposed to those fast, quick, not boring rest holds?
Right. Fans booed every time someone kicked out of a fall. God.
Oh. Booker of the year, folks.
Yeah, right. If this was like 5 years earlier, Tully Blanchard and some other like halfway decent name, all right, maybe. Like Tully was really good. He's very underrated. He was really good. Shane Douglas in his prime was pretty damn good as well. I don't know about 60 minutes of freaking Iron Man match good, but he was good. But 95 is just like what?
Now, granted, 95 probably was Douglas's peak. To be fair,
yeah, I'd say between.
I don't know what that's saying, but
yeah, I'd say between 95 to 97. He did some good stuff later, like his second run in ECW. He did some good stuff, but he was injured all the damn time. It was like, I mean, he was good, but he was constantly injured. But that same show featured the debut of Johnny Polo using the name Raven, and Uncle Dave says that he was doing a gimmick from the movie The Crow. Wrong. Oh, he's grunge, therefore it's from The Crow. Like, what? Like, not even close, man.
Man.
This is 95. Has he never heard of Nirvana and Alice in Chains? Like,
no. What do you think he listens to?
Yeah, I guess so. Because, honestly, that's what I was thinking of. He was trying to be like Kurt Cobain or whoever the hell the lead singer of Alice in Chains was, or even freaking Pearl Jam. No, yeah.
Paul Heyman was a huge Nirvana fan, I think. I mean, I've heard him mention him multiple times enough to make me think that. But,
right.
I mean,
and he came out to The Offspring. So, hell, I'd even go with,
the Jewish wrestler comes out to The Offspring dressed as a goth guy from Seattle who hung himself. Did I get all that?
Good Lord. Wait, who hung himself?
Oh, I thought Kurt Cobain didn't?
Supposedly, wink, wink, he shot himself in the face, but yeah.
Whatever, still committed suicide.
Right.
I mean, it's not. I'm not laughing at that, I promise. It's just the whole premise of Raven is like everything he could think of thrown into a damn blender.
Yep. Well, and this was, I mean, grunge was still fairly hot here. I think, was it?
I think I would argue grunge is still fairly new here.
Yeah. Was it 9? Did Cobain kill himself in 94?
I couldn't tell you that off the top of my head, honestly.
Yeah. I want to say it was 94. But, I mean, Alice in Chains was still a big thing. Tommy Dreamer, I don't know if at this time, but Tommy Dreamer would eventually come out to
God, yeah, dude. He's used that song since he came out of the womb.
Hey, if you're going to pick one, that's not a bad one.
I'm not knocking it at all. I'm just saying he loves that song like he loves like breathing.
Yeah, kind of like Shane Douglas with Deep Purple.
Yep.
But Anyway.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. That's a badass band. Just saying, they have an unnatural love for it.
Yep. Al Snow also debuted for the promotion at the show and got over strong. Finally, Ian Rotten.
Okay, hold on. Sorry. Stop real quick. Was this pre or post Leaf Cassidy?
I think it was.
And I guess
post Leaf Cassidy, pre-Avatar. Because I saw a story later on about him being Avatar, and I was like, oh my God. So they tried him one more time with Avatar, because that's a the old college try with that gimmick. And then he didn't get over, so they sent him back to ECW, and that's when we get, because right here he's like, I think he's wearing karate pants, and he's just kind of just himself. So we don't have like the Al Snow that we all remember from the late 90s quite yet. So that is yet to come, but either way, also on this show, Ian Rotten and Axel Rotten at the faced
my
each
favorite
other.
tag team.
Ian turned on Axel at the end of the show, which led to one of ECW's most famous and somewhat forgotten feuds. Notice I didn't say good. I said famous and forgotten.
Yeah, let's define famous here, please.
Okay, infamous, maybe. I guess that's a
okay. That is a better word.
Yeah. And we'll talk about it. There's some things that went down.
Will
with
we?
Yeah, because it went on this year. Unfortunately, you can't cover the history of ECW without at least touching on the Rottens. So, and you don't want to touch on them, but yeah, right.
I want to touch on the Rottens.
Yeah, that sounds like an innuendo.
I kind of made it worse. Okay.
Yeah, right. But
I actually wasn't trying to make it worse. I'll take credit for it, but that was not the intention.
Good Lord. Uncle Dave mentions that in February, ECW will be holding a convention for, quote, fans from the internet from across the country, end quote. That ended up being the very first CyberSlam show, although it wouldn't officially get that name until 1996. I like how he said, "Oh, for fans from the internet." Okay,
sure.
Keep in mind that the internet was a relatively new thing around this time. Everybody had dial-up, so that was literally the only choice was dial-up internet at this time, and it was super slow.
I'm waiting for a call. Get off the internet. Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, right. You only got 60 minutes. After that, you got to get off because you can't tie up the phone line all damn day. I remember that.
We lived like that. That's
I know, right? Kids today will never understand the struggle.
I remember when DSL came out, man. That was game changing back then.
I know, right? Blew my mind. I'm like, whoa, and I don't have to wait 5 minutes for one page to load. How about it? ECW wanted to get Barry Windham to come in and face Shane Douglas as another friend of Flair's, but Windham currently has a lawsuit against WCW claiming that his knee was so badly injured wrestling that he'll never be able to wrestle again, so he can't very well go and wrestle while that's ongoing.
Okay, hold on here. He can't go to ECW because he's suing WCW?
Well, he's suing WCW saying that he's so badly injured, or he got so badly injured that he can never wrestle again.
Oh, and if he goes here, it's going to negate the whole thing. Is that what you're saying?
Right.
Got it. Okay. That makes sense.
That is correct.
Now, the bonfire stuff.
Yeah, right.
By the way, he would end up wrestling in WWE in like a couple months or so as a stalker. So that's BS.
Right.
And he would be back in WCW later with the West Texas Rednecks. So again, BS.
Yep. So I don't even know what to say about that, but yeah. He couldn't drop the lawsuit for the amount of money that Paul Heyman was offering him to come in and job to Shane Douglas.
$50?
Yeah, and you get a free trip to Philly to job to Shane Douglas. How could you turn that down?
$50 and a free trip to hell. Oh man, sign my ass up. Can I get first class?
Right? Hey, you get to see the Liberty Bell, So if you survive that long.
And the Rocky statue.
Yeah.
Those two things are on my list in 2024.
I like how the most famous person that they have a statue of in that city isn't real. That should tell you something about how great Philly is not.
Well, they can put Donovan McNabb up there, I guess.
Right. Well, it's like Craig Ferguson talking about in his the town he's from in Scotland is the town that I think of the guy's name from Braveheart, the main guy.
Oh, Mel Gibson.
Well, no, I mean the character he was playing, or the guy he was playing. Yeah, I can't remember his name, but anyway, he's really from that town. So they built a statue, but they made it look like Mel Gibson.
Of course they did.
And then all the stuff came out about like him having his drunken rants and saying all the crap he did, being super anti-Semitic and everything. And they were like, you know what? Let the kids throw crap at it.
Well, couldn't redesign the face?
I know. It's like, just change some of the features, man. It's whatever. To wrap up January, though, ECW had a short tribute to Art Barr on their show a couple of weeks ago. Barr never worked for ECW, but about a week before he died, Paul Heyman had been negotiating with him and Eddie Guerrero to come in and work for them. It sucked. He was pretty good. I don't know how his career would have went in, if he would have survived. Eddie's obviously, went to the moon, but either way, getting into February here.
Because of ECW, though, you got to admit.
It did help. That is for sure. Uncle Dave says that the most talked about small promotion in the world right now is ECW. Really narrowing it down.
Can I see the list of these other ones, please?
Yeah, I know. It's like, you're really narrowing it down. I mean, I guess if you're putting it up there with like Smoky Mountain, sure. Even Eric Bischoff is bothered by them, recently making a comment on TV about how WCW runs arenas, quote, not bingo halls, end quote. That's got it. I mean, I would
not
say,
wrong, but I mean,
yeah.
You really got to say it.
Well, that would be like WWF saying, well, we run big arenas where not mid-sized arenas. Because for anybody who doesn't know, WCW was always like at the other arena in town. Kind of like AEW does now. But
The other arena.
It's true.
It's true.
Yep.
That was funny.
They would never, when they go to New York.
The exception being Chicago. AEW does go to the arena, whereas WWE doesn't really even go to Chicago. They go to Rosemont.
Yeah, that one's weird. You figured it would be flipped.
Yeah.
But so AEW goes where the Bulls play?
Yeah. Oddly enough, WWE opened that arena with SummerSlam 94, and I don't think they've been back since.
That's crazy. I wonder why they go to the Rosemont so much.
I've heard like so many wrestlers, though, like Edge, Cena, a couple other people say that the Rosemont Horizon is their favorite arena to perform in. So there is that.
Yeah, didn't they say it's something about the way it sounds with the wooden ceiling or whatever?
Which we've seen firsthand, and you can tell that it is loud.
Yeah, right. But anyway, ECW has two of the most exciting wrestlers in the world as top stars, Sabu and Chris Benoit, and has the most creative and innovative TV show in the business. Man, he's just open wide, Dave. Uncle Dave notes that the January 31st episode was one of the best hours of wrestling TV he's ever seen.
Oh, my God.
So I want to go.
Okay, so tell me this. How come his check can clear? Other people's can't.
Right? I kind of want to go back and watch this now just to see, like, what the hell? Like, what, it's the greatest ever? Like, okay. I mean, keep in mind, Raw wasn't really doing great stuff at this time. It was just a show. And
I think we've already established that this is one of the worst years ever. So, yeah.
Yeah. And Raw wasn't like must-see TV at this time. It was just it was there. Nitro was okay here and there. I mean, they had some stuff, but it wasn't, again, it wasn't must-see TV every week. So, but anyway, it has a cult following of fans who are rabidly passionate about it. You could say that again. The recent show that Uncle Dave attended had fans from 20 different states and 4 countries who all traveled to be among the 800 or so people to watch the wrestling show in a tiny, dirty bingo hall. So
tiny, dirty.
So
as opposed to those big, clean ones.
Yeah, right. So people from 20 different states and 4 different countries. Like I'm assuming he got these stats from Heyman, but
no, there's no way.
Why?
I don't believe that.
I mean, it's entirely possible, but it's just I don't know. It appeals to a certain kind of person, man. But he reviews the show he attended which seems to have been the very beginning of the Raven-Tommy Dreamer feud. You know, the feud that never ended. The show also featured Cactus Jack, who was in Tokyo the night before and flew 19 hours straight to get to this show, versus a Sandman, who suffered a severe concussion from a chair shot and had to be hospitalized after the match.
Of course.
Oh, Lord. Jack realized Sandman was hurt and kept trying to pin him at the end of the match, but Sandman was so out of it that he forgot the finish and kept kicking out and wouldn't stay down.
Do we have any confirmation if he was out of it from the beer he usually drinks or that or what? What's going on there?
And the can he bashed on his own freaking head. Yeah. ECW now has a TV deal in Birmingham, Alabama, and are close to making a deal. And they're close to making a deal for television in New Orleans as well. Birmingham's a little random, but whatever. I guess that's how little Conrad saw it. Became a big fan. The idea for a WCW Cruiserweight tournament has turned into a political headache. The original plan was to bring in lots of outsiders to compete in the tournament because within WCW, Brian Pillman is the only credible cruiserweight they have. However, so far, they haven't been able to lock down anyone noteworthy. They have had discussions with ECW, but Paul Heyman doesn't want any of his stars working WCW or WWF shows. That eliminates most of the top U.S. names like Chris Benoit, Sabu, Dean Malenko, and Too Cold Scorpio.
And they would all go. Except
right.
for Scorpio, but he would leave ECW too, though. But
yep, they could still do it if they wanted to because they aren't under strict contracts with ECW. But if they do, Heyman will no longer use them. Benoit already turned down WCW, and Sabu has been offered a spot, but he likely doesn't want to give up his spot as ECW's top star just to work a couple of shows for WCW. They also negotiated with AAA for a few guys, but in typical AAA fashion, they do business slow, so nothing has been agreed to yet, and time is running out. Yeah, business in Mexico is weird, man. I mean, I don't know from firsthand experience, but from everything I've read and everything I've heard. So, to follow up on that earlier thing, Sandman is being kept off ECW shows for the next couple of weeks because he's still shaken up from the concussion he suffered in the match with Cactus Jack earlier in the month. I'd say so. At least they're making him sit out for a little while, so there's that. ECW...
Yeah, but you can leave a broken toy on the shelf for so long, it's still broken, dude. Whatever.
Yeah. Wow. ECW's show on February 25th is being hailed by many as the best show in the history of the promotion so far, highlighted by the surprise return of Terry Funk to start a feud with Cactus Jack. Chris Benoit and Dean Malenko won the tag titles from Sabu and Taz in one of the best matches in ECW history, and many said that it established Benoit as the best worker ever in the promotion. I mean...
Oh, again, what a bar.
Yeah. That's like just stepping over a cord on the floor. So, Ian Rotten beat Axel Rotten in a barbed wire baseball bat match. Those words were said. And some have said that it crossed a line and was sickening in its brutality. You don't say. Because neither one of them could wrestle. Especially Ian. Like, Axel could hit the occasional move.
Are you saying this wasn't wrestling? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, no, not at all. Yeah, this is totally above board.
Watch your damn mouth.
Yeah, this is the kind of stuff that, this was like the wet dream of like Carl Gotch and Pat O'Connor.
Shut up.
They're expected to face each other in a match next month. Of course. They're expected to face each other in a match next month where they each glue broken glass to their hands.
Oh, God, this is the Taipei death match, right?
Yes. Which, last I heard, Ian Rotten was, like, the last he made appearances, he's still doing that damn gimmick. Because,
at what point is it not a gimmick, though, I ask?
Well, my thing is, and other people asked about this, too. They were like, so, doesn't he have HIV? What is he doing bleeding all over people? Like, what the fuck?
I didn't know that, but wow.
That's why he got...
I mean, if you told me this guy has some kind of disease, I wouldn't bat an eye, but I didn't know he had HIV. That's about the worst you can get.
That's why he got fired from his job at Taco Bell, because they found out and fired him because
that's right. Now in the archives, it's all coming back. I don't know what show though. Don't hold me to that. But
yeah,
one of these
we've said it right. This is real. All right, I'm seriously talking about a guy who used to be on, well, I guess regional TV, whatever. You can watch some of his matches, quote unquote, on Peacock. To this day, he worked at Taco Bell and got fired for having either Hep or HIV, one of the two. Either way, it's a bloodborne illness, and you shouldn't be bleeding on anybody. Oh, God. But either way, the return of Terry Funk to ECW and the angle with him and Sandman aired on TV, the February 28th, 1995 episode of Hardcore TV, and Uncle Dave says it's possibly one of the best angles in ECW history.
What angle is this again?
Terry Funk and returning against Sandman. I
is that an amazing angle?
Yeah, that's not the one I know about. So, whatever.
It's like return number 12 of Terry Funk, right?
Something like that, yeah. His horse healed up, okay?
Oh, she's sick and your mother's a whore.
That is true. Excuse me.
That is correct.
So, not to bring the fun down with this one, but...
because we're having loads of fun.
Well, I don't know. But this story
I mean, in a way.
Yeah. This story is sad. Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert passed away from a heart attack at the age of 33 this month in his apartment in Puerto Rico, where he was working as a booker for Carlos Colon's WWC promotion. First of all, I'm 32. I'm like, whoa.
33 with a heart attack.
Yeah. It's effing nuts, man. I thought he was
way
older.
I'm not like hoping this, but like, did he have a drug problem or something?
Maybe. I don't know. He might have
been a 30-year-old just doesn't have a heart attack, dude.
I know. That's just, I don't know. I really don't. The obituary in the Wrestling Observer included quotes from Tod Gordon, Paul Heyman, Lance Russell, Jim Cornette, Missy Hyatt, and others. In general, they talk about how close Gilbert's family was and how crushed they must be. But Heyman talked about how he isn't surprised and always figured he'd get this call because Gilbert had a lot of demons and compared him to Kerry Von Erich as a tragic figure in the business. Yeah, when people say, well, he had a lot of demons, that's either drink or drugs.
I think it's just drugs usually. I don't know. The bottle's a little different. I'm not saying it's not bad.
Well, that was what they always said.
Self to death for the most part, but drugs are the worst, man. When you hear demons, that's
yeah. Well, that was what they always say. Well, Scott Hall's got his demons, and it's like, yeah. And I mean, he did. I guess that is a
good point. But yeah, he was more of a boozer, right?
Yeah,
that's a good point. Yeah. Not just for me though. When I hear demons, I automatically go to like hard drugs. Like nobody says it about weed or anything. I don't damn about that, but
right. But either way, Gordon talks about how Gilbert grew up in the business, and because of that, he was paranoid and didn't trust anyone. Yeah, from what I heard, that kind of goes hand in hand.
Well, yeah, when you're on drugs, everyone's out to get you. But
yep. Well,
that's
wrestling. Well, wrestling, especially the time. I mean, you got to think he probably started. I'll even say 18. So. I don't know. It was the 80s, whatever. I mean, he started in the territories, whatever. It was a carny business. So, yeah, you really couldn't trust anybody. Everybody was, trying to get your spot, brother. I don't know. That wraps up January and February. We're going to head into our next break right here. Don't go anywhere because you might find your next favorite podcast in this break, where we tell you about some of our friends and network partners. But on the other end of this, we're going to be diving into March and April on the other end of this break. Follow the Main Event Marks at Facebook.com/Main Event Marks Pod, on Twitter at Main Event _Marks, and on Instagram, both at Main Event _Marks and at Main Event Collector.
Hey gang, it's Commissioner Cooper of TSS Fantasy. We are the fantasy show of the people. Expert fantasy advice, free contests, leading expert medical and legal analysis, and most importantly, you. Interact with us on all social media platforms or check us out at tssfantasy.com. You can hear us on Spotify, Apple and Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and many more. Check out the fun today and be a part of the most interactive fantasy show around, TSS Fantasy, the fantasy show of the people.
Hello everyone, my name is Ryan McCarthy and I'm the host of the No Credentials Required podcast. Start your work week with the Monday Drop-In, where I talk about the sports beat in the Capital District, also known as the Mighty 518, as well as Metro New York sports from an upstate point of view. I also give a life lesson from a weekly sports story, so you might learn something from that. I also have a midweek podcast where I interview different sports personalities and talk about a wide array of topics. Take a listen and subscribe on your preferred podcast app, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Also check out our social media channels on Twitter and Instagram, BellyUpNCR, and Facebook.com/BellyUpSportsNCR. We're a part of the Belly Up Sports Podcast Network in association with Godzilla Media. No credentials required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports.
The Main Event Marks are available wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. Find all of our links on our link tree at linktr.ee/Main Event Marks. And we're back. Getting into March now. Promotions throughout North America paid tribute to Eddie Gilbert this week. Not WWF or WCW, of course, but all the rest of them pretty much did.
Well, he was never in WWE, though, right?
Right. So. I don't think anybody... It would have been a nice gesture, but at the same time, I don't think a lot of people would have known who he was in WWF.
Oddly enough, I would have. I remember him when I was a kid.
Yeah, well, didn't he pop up in NWA a couple of times? Or WCW?
He was on one of the shows we did. I mean, that's when I started really getting on you, and you didn't call him hot stuff, remember? That's where it all started. Right. Yeah.
So I don't understand why WWF had an excuse. He was never there. People probably wouldn't have known, but... He was in WCW.
I want to say, don't hold me to this. I want to say I remember Bischoff saying something about they didn't want to talk about it because he had drugs. It's coming back to me now. I think that's why. But again, don't hold me to that. But I feel like he said that on one of his pods.
Yeah, it's kind of like Vince McMahon doing the CYA with Brian Pillman that people still talk about, where he just is like, well, we don't know for sure how he died, but if he did die from drugs, a lot of people do drugs. It's not just here. It's like, oh my God. Like, I get why he did it. It just
he's not wrong, but man, don't be saying that.
I know. It's like, you don't know how he died, man. And you saying that is not going to play well in the media. It's not you getting ahead of the story. But anyway, USWA, ECW, and Smoky Mountain Wrestling all held in-ring ceremonies this week for him. USWA and ECW also aired video tributes, and WCCW in Puerto Rico did as well. At a recent indie show outside of ECW, a fan sprayed Sabu in the face with mace. It wasn't
Holy crap, what could go wrong now?
It wasn't part of an angle or anything, and Sabu had to get his eyes flushed out.
Okay, before I even go on, cheap plug here. Didn't we just do an episode where we talked about him fighting with a fan?
Yeah, I think so.
Swear to you, I remember you telling me you got into a fight with a fan.
That was Shane Douglas. Sabu might have. I
sure?
slapped. Yeah, okay, it was both because he didn't technically get into a fight. Somebody grabbed his hair and he turned around and slapped him.
Okay, but I was close enough. That's okay. But this is okay.
Well, you know what I have to say about that is.
See, as you can see, the more you fuck around, the more you're going to find out.
It's very true.
Okay, first of all, clearly it's not his fault. The fan did it, but
right.
Why? I got arrested or something? And I know it was a guy. You tell me it was a woman, I'll fall out of my chair. But I know it was a guy. Right?
Well, back then, I don't know. Nowadays, I see a ton of, they actually have, hot pink, mace now that you can buy if you're a woman to strap on your stuff.
Yeah, you might be missing my point, though. No woman goes to an ECW show, so.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, they do. It's just a certain kind of woman. You know what I mean?
Yeah, local lady of the night. Yeah, we got it.
Yeah, right. A woman of ill repute. The kind that teaches her daughter how to. Anyway.
Yeah, well, now in the archives.
Yeah, right. What was that? Heatwave 90? What was 7?
Something like that.
Yeah, whatever. One of the heat waves. Go check it
Yeah,
out.
you think we're going to say in the archives we should have the title right? I don't know. There's so much garbage with this company. It all runs together to me.
It was ECW, heat wave, something or other in Dayton. I want to say it was 97. But it was a Bubba Ray Dudley promo that damn near started a riot.
It's a famous one. If you even remotely watch ECW and know of it, you know what this promo is.
And it's on Peacock in full.
And yet Roddy Piper in blackface and X-Pac in blackface is pulled off. And I'm not saying, why. I'm just saying those are pulled off. But this is fine as hell to be on there. Okay.
Yep.
Got it.
But yeah, go out of your way to go check it out. Back to this, though. Tully Blanchard faced Shane Douglas at an ECW show this week and didn't want to do the job to Douglas and instead wanted to do a DQ finish. However, Paul Heyman is trying to build the company around real finishes, pinfall or submission. Oh, God, so many jokes there. And he wouldn't go for it. Blanchard finally agreed to be pinned, but wasn't happy about it. And this might be his last appearance in ECW. Oh, no.
Couldn't say flat out, but I'm pretty sure it was.
Yeah. However will they manage without Tully Blanchard 95?
Did he get his nose up yet, by the way, at this point?
I think. I want to say
so.
So.
Why the hell were you doing this? We were doing the old Tully Blanchard before he found God and doing all this crap. Okay, ECW makes total sense. But
maybe
now,
this is what turned him around.
There you go.
Tod Gordon sent a
When you go to hell and you see the devil, you're going to find God. And that's okay, move on.
Good grief. Tod Gordon
tell me I'm wrong. Please. I dare you.
Tod Gordon sent a letter to rival promoter Dennis Corluzzo threatening a lawsuit, claiming Corluzzo had been trying to sabotage ECW by contacting venues that they had booked and trying to steal the dates from them, or getting the venues to cancel by claiming ECW shows are too wild for the building owners to risk holding.
Okay, hold on. First of all, catch me up. Who's Dennis Corluzzo again? I know that name.
He ran the NWA.
Okay. And second, that's pretty dirty, man.
It is. At the same time,
it's not even all of it. It's just they're too damn wild for. Like, no, don't be a Karen. But now, if you're trying to steal the building from them, run it before them, that's one thing. It's business. Dirty, but it's business.
Define too wild. Like, because I don't know.
Also, I want to be specific. Did he say too wild for you?
I guess so.
He's like, this place is pretty wild, but this is too much. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, he said it's too wild for the building owners to risk having that show there. I don't know. Speaking of
also 1995, wild, where the hell is the NWA?
Lower than Smoky Mountain Wrestling, I'd say.
Well, who gives a damn?
Yeah, right.
At least ECW had somewhat of a TV. People knew who they were. To me, the NWA was dead once Shane Douglas threw that belt down. Championship, pal.
Well, I don't know, man. Corluzzo and I mean, I agree with you, but Corluzzo and Heyman just had a hate on for each other for years. So I don't know. But either way, speaking of getting
Paul Heyman has a hate on with a lot of people except for Vince McMahon, apparently.
Yeah, right. And it only goes one way.
Right.
Speaking of getting too wild for stuff, the Comfort Inn Hotel next to the airport in Philadelphia has long been the unofficial hotel for ECW because Tod Gordon had.
I love this setup. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but man, I already can see where this is going. Please continue.
Well, it's because Tod Gordon had an excellent relationship with the management there, but after a series of disturbances, the hotel is no longer.
There it is.
The hotel is no longer working with ECW or allowing wrestlers to stay there. Color me shocked.
I'm sorry, I saw it coming. I know I stepped all over you there, but man, when you see a premise to something you know it's going to happen, it's funny.
Yeah.
Can't help it.
Well, my question is like,
Sorry.
I kind of want to know what the disturbances were.
Oh man. Well, let's see. The Rottens are on the roster.
I mean, I heard about this happened in WCW, but I heard about that time that Public Enemy allegedly stole like a golf cart or some kind of transportation vehicle, whatever, from a hotel. Or maybe, or no, I think it was the transport truck for WCW. It was parked at the hotel or something like that. I don't know.
I've never heard of this, but I have no problem believing it.
Yeah. Well, Sabu doesn't seem to be having luck with indie show crowds. After being maced by a fan a week ago, another fan threw a brick at him during a show this week.
Oh my God.
People want this dude dead, man. Like, what the hell did he do?
I don't even hate him. I just don't care if it was wrestling, but I never said I wanted him dead. What the hell?
That's effed up, man. You first of all, how did you get a brick in the building?
Oh, shut up, dude. Really?
Well, I guess back then.
Good Lord.
Security,
you're an idiot if you can't see that.
Back then, security wasn't like,
security guy had like a yellow shirt on set security and some khaki pants. And his job was to make sure you had the correct ticket, and that's it.
Well, I know indie shows around here, at least, when you come into the building, like when you give them your ticket, like they'll rip the ticket, and like if you have a bag, they'll make you open it up so they can look through it before they let you in. So I'm going to assume back then they didn't give a damn. You could have brought a bomb into the place.
Well, no pun intended, but ECW was a bomb. But anyways.
Yeah. Hey, you're not totally wrong. To wrap up this month, though, there was an interesting incident at the latest ECW show.
Man, I love that setup.
This one wasn't too bad, honestly. It was kind of funny more than anything. But after a match, Sabu and manager Paul Heyman began challenging anyone to come out and face Sabu. What could go wrong with that? Well, the crowd started chanting for a large 400-pound fan in the front row, and it picked up enough steam that it almost looked like the fan was going to jump the rail. Sabu, and to a lesser degree, Heyman were egging the fan on, and he was held back by other wrestlers and Tod Gordon, who realized how bad of an idea this could be.
Oh, yeah. Not a moment too late, huh?
Yeah, right. Paul Heyman, whose father is a lawyer, couldn't figure this out on his own. Anyway, after everyone went back to the dressing room, Tod Gordon brought the fan into the ring and put him over to the crowd and gave him some free merchandise and everything to defuse the situation. Sabu was in the locker room and reportedly wanted to do a run-in on the fan, but was talked out of it. For the record, no, this was not John Tenta.
So Tod Gordon just had 5X shirts sitting around, huh?
Yeah, right. You look like a big fella. 6X. 6. Okay, yeah, we got that. Good Lord. Just we make car covers. You can have one.
Holy crap.
What? Am I wrong?
Come on.
All right. Moving into April here. There's a potential interesting situation brewing with Sabu as he's booked for both New Japan and an ECW show on the same night. Latest word is that Sabu will likely have to miss the ECW show. Surely this won't become anything big.
No, there's not a great promo out there about this or anything from Paul Heyman. No.
Well, about that, time comes at you fast. Sabu was fired from ECW in mid-April after no-showing an event. It was well known within the industry that New Japan had booked Sabu for a show the same day as an ECW show. Sabu had agreed to work both shows, believing falsely that because of the time difference, he could hop on a plane and immediately after the Japan show make it back for the ECW show, which would have been impossible. Because it's a 19-hour flight.
You remember that episode of Friends where Chandler was working in Oklahoma? Yeah. And he came back and Joey's like, wait, how'd you get here so fast? Like it's like a 3-hour flight. And Chandler's like, yeah, but you're forgetting about the 3-hour time difference. Okay. So you think like that 19-hour flight, but a huge time difference, that gets erased. Is that what you thought?
I guess. Well, they're 12 hours ahead over there, so I'll technically be moving back in time.
Yeah. I even have time to catch a nap at that hotel they were banned at.
Right. Well, he got banned from the Marriott. He's got to go to the Super 8. When he found out that he couldn't do that...
Oh, my God. He says Super 8. Holy crap.
I've only been to like 1 or 2 Super 8s in my entire life. I try to avoid them, but that's the only one I could think of. When he found out that he couldn't do that, he told New Japan Pro Wrestling that he had already agreed to work the ECW show. They told him to get out of that show because the New Japan show was was planned to set him up for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title shot at next month's huge Fukuoka Dome show. I think I pronounced that right. Fukuoka, excuse me. Whatever. I don't Japanese, bro.
Well, who the fuck is this guy?
Paul Heyman refused to budge since he'd already promoted Sabu as working the main event of a heavily hyped three-way dance show, arguably the biggest show in ECW's history to date. Sabu was basically in a position where he knew he screwed up by double booking himself and was told by both sides that if he no-showed, he would be fired. According to Paul Heyman, Sabu had assured him that he was going to still find a way to make the ECW show, leading them to believe that he was going to miss the New Japan show. It wasn't until 2 days before the ECW show when they tried to call Sabu and got an answering machine message saying that he had left for Japan, and they realized that he was going to bail on them.
Okay, first of all, what a mess.
Right. And answering machine? This really is 95.
Second of all, did they at least pay him more than ECW?
I'm going to
assume
say
they did.
Yes. Yeah, I've heard Japan gives pretty good payoffs. So, I don't know, man. Wow. Quote, he gave me his word, so I built the TV show around it, the three-way dance match, said Heyman. Quote, he left me with no other option regarding him, and that's really a shame. But I have no choice. If I let this go, I have no control of my dressing room. I lose control of my dressing room, and once that happens, the ball game is over. End quote. I mean, he's not wrong.
I would like to talk about the irony of someone breaking a word to Paul Heyman.
Yeah, right. Yeah, well, how the turntables, as Michael Scott would say. At the ECW show, Paul Heyman opened by breaking kayfabe and giving a long speech using several wrestlers' real names and talking about how hard they work for the fans. Quote, Sabu gave us a commitment and then decided that because he was offered more money on a weekly basis, he will not give you what you paid to see, and decided not to give me the courtesy of a phone call when he swore to God on Sunday night that before we all went into production to give you that Tuesday night TV show, that if you're going to fuck the audience because you are the star of this promotion, to let me know, and he said, I'll be there. Then on Thursday, he tells me and Taz and 911 and anyone who would call his answering machine that he is on his way to Japan. You people, the audience of ECW, and all the stars within have been fucked and were deemed not important enough to see performed a match. I'm sorry, I'm transcribing this, so it's like, I don't know if he actually said that, but it's coming out weird. Anyway, performed a match that you have been waiting to see since Christmas for. Wow, there's a lot to break down here. Anyway, you voted with your dollars to see him. And
I haven't talking about Christmas, by the way. Go ahead.
Yeah, right. And you voted with your dollars to see him, and Sabu decided to go to Japan, end quote. At this point, the crowd began chanting, fuck Sabu. And Heyman responded, quote, you're right, fuck him. And then he told the fans to stick around through the first half of the show on us, and at intermission, if you're upset about Sabu not appearing, you can still get a full refund. The crowd continued to chant fuck Sabu throughout the show.
Okay, my first thing about this is I'm pretty sure he didn't swear to God, he swore to Allah.
Yeah, I don't know his religious
well, you can kind of assume, can't you? I think.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, there's anything wrong with it. I'm just saying.
Might just be a gimmick like Muhammad Hassan.
And second, well, we know how long this is going to last. He's going to be back very soon.
Yeah, well, so, yeah, we'll cover that as well. Well, Sabu has said that he felt that at this point in his career, he had to take the big money New Japan offer, and said that he's also been unhappy about the direction of ECW, mostly with all the other wrestlers doing a hardcore style, which he feels is his gimmick. I mean, it's kind of in the name of the promotion, but whatever. He also claims that there is a prestige to wrestling in Japan and calls ECW a bullshit style of wrestling.
You said a mouthful?
This would be like if Hulk Hogan said that Jim Duggan is just too damn proud to be American. Like, this doesn't make any sense. This isn't Lou Thez talking about how the industry went to shit. This is Sabu talking about how ECW is too hardcore.
Man.
Like, what?
This is like when that story that broke that Charles Manson says that Scientologists are weird. I'm like, man, it's like, well,
good Lord.
Do it that way you will, but it's the same thing, Yeah, of course, no one here is a killer or anything like that, of course, but it's just like if someone that's like into weird stuff says that that's too much for them, I'm just saying.
Yeah, right. It's like, what the hell? It's all of this. Keep in mind, like, looking forward into the future, he would go to wrestle for XPW, which was even worse. And he's talking about, there's the prestige in Japan, which in certain promotions, yeah, sure. But he also went to wrestle for FMW, which...
Well, Japan will buy your house, FMW will buy the beer. So...
Wow. Yeah, FMW blew up their rings.
Yeah.
I just... Whatever. The Sabu says that everything in ECW
I feel like he's a little bipolar at this point. Like, doesn't know what the hell he wants.
Right. Sabu says that everything in ECW is an angle, and he likes competitive matches with clean finishes. Does he?
This is news to me.
Right? Sabu admits that he was wrong to double book himself, but he said that the way that Paul Heyman buried him at the show was even more wrong. I don't know about even more wrong, but I mean, it wasn't great.
Look, I'm sorry, but when you screw over a promoter like that and fans, I'm going to side with Heyman on this one.
Yeah. It's more wrong for him to bury me for, doing something crappy. Why? Whatever.
I should be allowed to do this. Get the hell out.
I know.
I'm not saying it's okay, but if like you're like Hulk Hogan or something like that back then, maybe you got some pull. You're Sabu, dude.
Yeah, you can't exactly. That's not going to work for me, brother. Out of this one, I'm still hung up on the. There's a prestige to Japan. By the way, hand me that chair. To wrap this up, though. Sabu has had meetings with Eric Bischoff and is still in talks to work occasional shows for WCW while keeping his New Japan commitments. As for the Japan show, Sabu worked it and ended up breaking his ankle, but isn't expected to miss any bookings.
The irony.
Of course not. Right. Mother of God. So at the ECW show that Sabu missed, they also featured the angle with Raven and Tommy Dreamer when a girl in the crowd sprayed Dreamer in the face with hairspray. The story will be that this is a girl that both Raven and Dreamer knew when they were at summer camp as teens, and Dreamer ignored her, so she hooked up with Raven instead. This would be the debut of Beulah McGillicuddy.
You don't know how that's going to end.
Beulah McGillicuddy Dreamer. I want to know how he scored that, by the way. Like, what's his secret?
Sucks into his sock.
I'm going to say yes. Shane Douglas lost.
He's really funny.
Yeah. Shane Douglas lost the ECW title to Sandman recently, and after the match, he put on a WWF Monday Night Raw t-shirt and announced he was, quote, going to a place where they do real wrestling before walking out of the building. He has since been telling everyone that he's heading to the WWF. Douglas has since been having serious negotiations with WWF lately, but as of now, ECW believes that he's still with them, they're still writing him into their future plans until they hear otherwise.
Well,
yeah, that's not going to go anywhere, Greg. So back to Sabu for a moment. He joined up with ECW enemy Dennis Corluzzo, and they're working together to promote a show in Michigan. Sabu's
Bombay, Michigan.
Right. Sabu's lifelong dream has been to run his own promotion like his uncle, the Sheik, and that's what Sabu and Carluzzo are doing now. Sabu also has had negotiations with WCW, but wants to work there part-time while keeping New Japan as his primary focus. Sabu and Paul Heyman have reportedly spoken since his public firing, and both sides agreed not to publicly bury each other anymore. Assuming Sabu doesn't sign with WCW, there is a chance that they could work together again.
Well,
but Heyman promised the ECW fans Sabu would be welcomed back if the fans forgave him, and judging by the constant Sabu chants at the shows since then, that seems unlikely anytime soon.
Well, now hold on though. Heyman insinuated, he insinuated that riot, didn't he?
Yeah, he started it, but yeah.
I mean, come on, you know how pro wrestling is. One person starts something, if it gets even remotely over, it blows up. So is it them really burying him, or is it just them being idiots?
Yes.
Okay. Good enough.
ECW featured an Eddie Guerrero versus Dean Malenko match that many are calling the best match in the history of the promotion.
Okay, you now said that 3 times in this pod.
I was gonna say, yeah, I feel like I've said that multiple times already, and we're only on month 4.
This is like Joe Rogan calling every damn fighter one of the best pound for pound on the planet.
Right. A lot of people have suggested that ECW should start running their shows in the 4,000-seat Penn Hall Arena in Philadelphia. The reason they don't is because A, higher rent to run the building, and B, there's a $5,000 rights fees to film in that building.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. What does it cost to run an ECW arena? Mop the bathrooms after.
$5 and a pack of now leaders.
Yeah, right. Empty out your poop bucket before you leave. All right. Didn't they say they had to crap in a bucket at one point?
Getting in trouble. I feel like I heard that somewhere.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think so too. That's why, like, when new guys would go there, they're like, "Mother of God, what is this?" Ugh, yuck.
Well, put on that Monday Night Raw shirt, then you can go.
Yeah, right.
By the way, real quick, I like how in ECW back then, putting on a Monday Night Raw shirt, it kind of like pissed people off. Like if you put on like a Make America Great shirt nowadays, like for some reason, that WWE logo just pisses people off in ECW.
Yeah,
you
right.
ever notice that?
Yep.
Man.
they hated it. They hated WCW even more. And I feel like the feeling was mutual. Like Eric Bischoff just had a burning hatred for ECW. He claims he never thought about them, but it's like, really? You took shots at him once in a while. You poached a lot of them.
Think about him. He just used Conan to poach him.
Yeah, right.
He said he said in his own words, Conan put him in touch with Rey Mysterio and Juventud and Psychosis.
I believe it.
So,
yeah, we've got some stories about that kind of stuff coming up later on in the podcast. But
that wraps up March and April. We still got May and June before we wrap up the whole show here. But we're going to take our next break. On the other end of this, we're going to be diving into the last 2 months of this half of the year for ECW 1995. And in this break, don't skip ahead because you might find your next favorite podcast here in this break when we talk about some of our friends and network partners. But on the other end of this break, we're wrapping up this half of the year in ECW 1995. Follow the Main Event Marks at Facebook.com/Main Event Marks Pod, on Twitter at Main Event _Marks, and on Instagram both at Main Event _Marks and at Main Event Collector.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. My name is Thomas, and what's your name?
I'm Alan. Yeah. We're brothers.
That's right.
Yeah. Same mother and father.
Your room was...
we shared the room.
Shared a room?
We shared the room.
Thought I knew your face.
Yeah, we go way back, mate. Yeah.
We should do a podcast then.
We have.
We do a podcast?
We do a podcast.
What's it called?
The
Broadcast.
Yeah, that was planned.
Yeah, well.
What do we do?
Well, we cover all different things in the world of pop culture. We're talking about comic books, we're talking about professional wrestling, and we're talking about movies. Go back and watch classic retro wrestling events, the likes of WWE, WCW, and if you do like that, you can check us out on Apple iTunes, also on Podbean, Anchor, and on Podknife. Also check us out on Twitter at The Broadcast. That's BROKAST. Nearly stuffed up the ending.
Hey, it's alright, good on you.
Yeah. Instagram also at The Broadcast Podcast.
Remember, we don't spell it with a C, we spell it with a K.
Sorry, mate.
Take it easy.
the
Main Event Marks are available wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. Find all of our links on our link tree at linktr.ee/Main Event Marks.
And we're back.
We're back.
Getting into May of 1995 here. Shane Douglas is, what you alluded to earlier, Shane Douglas is continuing to wear WWF shirts while in ECW, and it's clearly an angle now.
Oh, man.
The negotiations are still ongoing, but Uncle Dave says that Douglas will at least stick around through the end of the school year because he's still a history teacher during the week and isn't going to quit his teaching job this close to the end of the school year.
I'm going to ignore the low-hanging fruit here.
I will say this: it's good for him for not, screwing the school over. I mean, that would suck, but. However, he did say he's likely headed to the WWF sooner than later.
I feel like you're missing something, or you're just not saying it.
Well, I got to cue it up for Uncle Dave here.
That is correct.
But okay, I didn't know he was a school teacher, so now I get Dean Douglas in a whole new light.
That was actually the whole premise of it, because he was a school.
I
teacher.
never knew that.
Oh, we got to do something around him being a teacher, pal. Like, God. This was
Bruce
another.
Pritchard will swear on his life that every person that had like a what they call the occupational time, the occupational era
gimmicks. Yeah.
He said every single one of them actually did that. He said Bob Holly was really a race car driver. Duke Josie was really a garbage man.
The Goon really was a goon when he played hockey. Yeah.
That one I don't have a hard time believing. I mean, you play hockey, okay, but the other ones I don't know. It kind of seems like a stretch, but. Wow, this one really backs that up.
Yep. Well, I mean, I can imagine him looking at a history book and going, Washington, Jefferson, Lincoln, Roosevelt, they can all kiss my ass, and throws a book on the desk.
While playing Deep Purple.
Right. His students are just like, EC Dub. Then he grabs, another teacher comes in. It's like, what's all the commotion? And he just hits the franchiser on him. Anyway, Jim Neidhart debuted in ECW this week, losing matches to both Marty Jannetty and Ron Simmons.
Okay, there's nothing wrong with losing Ron Simmons, but LOL at that first one.
Well, this further proves your point when you ask, why do they say who's the Jannetty of the team and not who's the Neidhart of the team?
Yeah. Let me ask you a question, though. When Neidhart was getting his job, how do you think that went down?
Bully, you get room for a rhino. We already have a rhino, sir. I know timelines don't match up. Just go with it.
This is 95. Okay, he's on his way back to WWE. You said this is the second half, right? Or second quarter. So May, June, July? So May, June, July, I can assume?
Yeah, he's there. He's there right now. I think he had like a cup of coffee there. So he's probably there for like...
King of the Ring 95, he's back. So
okay,
which is in June.
Okay, so he's literally back the next month after this. So yeah, I was right.
I just watched that, by the way. I think I did. Wait, I'm sorry. I'm a year ahead. Wait, am I? No, I'm a year ahead. Sorry, that was 94. King of the Ring came back. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Never mind. I don't know then.
Was he back? Wasn't he Who around this point?
He was Who. I don't know if it was at this point, but
yeah, I can't remember when. But either way, expect major changes in ECW in the next few weeks, with rumors that there have been offers by people to buy into the company. Paul Heyman is anxious to expand the company nationally and is getting impatient with being a regional promotion. This never really amounted to anything from any outside buyers, but I do think it's the beginning of Paul Heyman fully taking over the company from Tod Gordon.
It is crazy to think they're still 5 years away at this point from national TV.
And death.
Yeah, right.
ECW's recent shows in Florida were troublesome.
That's as nice as you can say right there. Huh?
Right. That's like people saying today something is problematic. I swear to God, I was in a bookstore one time. I was going through a bookstore in a pretty famous one in Columbus, and I hear these like young girls, like they're in a group walking around, and one of them's like, "Oh, I stopped reading so and so," and the other one's like, oh, why? Did you find out he was problematic? And I'm like, shut the F up.
Oh, my God. No, it's a local coffee house right after, didn't they?
Yeah, they probably did. But anyway, one of the shows was nearly canceled over fears of violence when security confiscated several boxes of frying pans and cookie trays that fans had brought.
Oh my God!
They were just trying to be nice. They thought they didn't want to grill out after this.
I'm not going to try to play devil's advocate here, but there is proof that Tommy Dreamer, Raven, a couple of people used to use weapons that the fans brought them. It's on the ECW documentary, by the way, which is one of the better documentaries that he's ever done. And he would talk about how they took the fans' weapons and stuff and used them. So, to be fair, these wrestlers might have been encouraging this crap.
Tommy Dreamer, to this day, will take random crap out of the crowd and hit people with it. So, yeah.
And everybody thought Hangman Adam Page admits to grabbing a fan's beer and drinking it. Nope.
Yeah, right. Well, that show featured Raven and Tommy Dreamer battling all over the building, which led to the show almost being shut down because of it. Good Lord, that's all it takes. Another show featured the fans imitating the famous chair throwing incident, and Pitbull Spike ended up getting a gash in the back of his head from a thrown chair. He's hardcore! He's hardcore! Mother of God. Here's some advice, people. Don't do that.
Yeah, I like that has to be said.
ECW encouraged all this crap. That's why, Eric Bischoff said he kind of regrets, letting it go for so long with throwing garbage in WCW. He said after a while he started getting some nasty stuff thrown at him. I know he said he took like a cup full of tobacco spit right in the side of the head, and he almost threw up.
That's kind of his fault for going to Mississippi every damn week.
Yeah, it is weird how often they held shows in Mississippi, but
yeah, right.
And then batteries were thrown, and also beer. It's just, yep. Chris Benoit missed the recent ECW show because his wife was in a car accident and injured her ankle. I'm going to leave this one alone.
It was a woman, was it, at the time?
No, this was his first wife. I think who's his. Unfortunately, I have to say that his only surviving kid is David Benoit.
I think
he has a daughter too. Yeah, I think it's their mom. His son, and I think he has a daughter still. But yeah, it's their mom. Somebody was saying, it's like, wow, it's true. Effed up. It's not the only time he would miss a show due to a wife's injury, but yeah.
Good Lord.
But anyway,
if
also
was an injury.
Yeah, I know, right? Man. Anyway, also on the show, Eddie Guerrero and Dean Malenko wrestled each other once again, and before the match, Guerrero was wearing the red, white, and blue Love Machine attire and cut a promo dedicating his career to Art Barr. Also on the show, the crowd continued to chant Sabu throughout the show. Yeah, so...
Well, again, what we both said now, they encourage this crap.
Yep, it's encouraged behavior, man. You're going to keep getting it. Anyway, so organizational-wise, ECW still seems to be in transition. Paul Heyman is handling payoffs now instead of Tod Gordon. Yikes.
No, hold on. I'm not going to judge. Let's see where this goes.
Yeah, let's see where it goes. He's trying to restructure the company and wants to run more house shows in other markets. There are said to be significant outstanding debts in the company right now. Not for the last time.
Oddly enough, maybe for the first time.
Yeah, right. Good grief. So, I thought this one was funny. It's not necessarily ECW related, but kind of. A recent story in the news talked about how some doctors have experimented and found out that super glue is better than stitches when closing wounds in some cases.
Actually, this is very much an ECW story.
Yeah. Uncle Dave says apparently Dr. Sabu is a visionary since he's been doing this in the middle of matches for years.
Dr. Sabu. I know the old cliche is a lot of Middle Eastern people are brilliant, are doctors, but I'm going to go ahead and say he's not one of them.
Yeah, he's not exactly a rocket surgeon. So moving into June here, the latest news on the ownership of ECW is that a company called HHG Corp., which is 100% owned by Paul Heyman, is now signing the checks, and the company is looking for investors. I don't think they'd find them.
Investors. You're literally asking people to put their money into garbage.
Yeah, here's a garbage can. Throw your money into here. Tod Gordon is...
It's like the red little kennel that you donate to at Christmas time.
Does this look like a urinal to you, sir? Tod Gordon is still involved in some capacity, but Uncle Dave isn't sure to what extent. Gordon has said the ECW has paid off 90% of its debts, and that the rumor of heat between he and Heyman have been exaggerated. There have been disagreements, but they aren't as heated as rumors suggest. Not yet.
Well,
yeah, just wait a little
as
bit.
the world turns, right?
Yeah, right. ECW has started to trying to tone down the cartoonish gimmick of the Tasmaniac character by having him do commentary and play up his credentials as an amateur wrestler and shoot fighter, bro. I wonder where that's going to go. Chris Benoit worked a dark match try out at the latest WWF tapings, losing to Bob Holly. That'll humble you.
Losing Sparky Plug.
Yeah, right.
Also, at this time, you may have literally been Sparky Plug.
Yeah. What was he before? Because I know Sparky Plug was like his second name. What was he? Something
Sparky Plug.
Yeah. Is it TSP? Is that or STP? It was Sparky Thurman Plug. That was it.
STP. Wow.
Yeah, because they were trying to get the NASCAR thing. Like, oh, God.
So I heard TP and I'm like, yeah, apropos.
Right. Moving on. WWF is very interested in bringing Benoit in, but if he took the job, he'd have to give up his other jobs, including New Japan and ECW. Oh, no. Word is that no one in ECW knew Benoit was doing the WWF show, and Heyman was a little upset about it. Word is that Benoit, by far, was the most impressive wrestler on the entire show, but the ending was messed up because Holly blew the finish twice. That's kind of funny. I want to know who was on the show. Because...
Why? Are you trying to figure out, like, there was nobody better for him to face? Because I'm 100% with you.
Well, that too. But it said... They're saying, word is that Benoit was the best wrestler on the entire show. But I realize it's Chris Benoit, so it's very possible. But it's not like WWF had slouches on the roster at this time. So who the hell else was there?
Well... Yeah, 1995, Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart are both on this roster. So,
1, 2, 3 Kid, Razor Ramon. Yeah, so I don't know. So there's a ton.
Goon.
Shut the F up.
That's 2 in this show alone.
Right. There's a ton of behind-the-scenes turmoil in ECW at the moment, and no one knows what's happening exactly. No one knows the ownership situation, but right now it appears that Paul Heyman is running the company. Heyman also supposedly has made an offer to buy Tod Gordon's 50% shares of the company. No deal has been reached yet.
What?
Right. His dad's money. Gordon reportedly wants to stay involved in some way, but he is willing to sell his share. Okay, yeah, but you say with what? What is he buying? Like, how much could it cost?
This is like now modern day with crypto. Like, what are you buying? What's it cost? It's nothing for nothing. It's literally what it was.
Right. Like, I will give you $5.
I will give you my mother's best kugel, sir.
I will give you $5, $10. I will give you $5 and a McDonald's coupon. I promise it's not expired.
Never mind that rubbed off date.
Yeah, they never checked that anyway. Oh, Lord. So there's also turmoil on the ECW talent situation. The company's best wrestler, Chris Benoit, is being courted by WWF, but hasn't signed a deal yet because he doesn't want to give up his New Japan job. Shane Douglas was also backstage at the last WWF tapings and has been negotiating with them. He's reportedly upset about having to lose his ECW title to Sandman, so he's not on the best terms with Paul Heyman at the moment. I'd be pissed too.
I'd be pissed too.
Yeah, right.
Give me Al Snow or anybody else.
Right. WCW is reportedly interested in Tommy Dreamer. Terry Funk is expected to work one more ECW show and then take some time off for injuries to his horse. Also, Sabu has been negotiating with Paul Heyman and Tod Gordon about returning, but Heyman is said to be iffy on it because he made an example out of Sabu and doesn't want to go back on it so soon. Heyman has also made a deal with AAA to bring in Conan, and he also wants to bring in other AAA stars, specifically Rey Mysterio and Psychosis.
Wow.
That wouldn't go anywhere at all.
And this is going to take an interesting turn.
Right?
Swerve,
bro. There's a lot of questions about how ECW can pay for all of this. So far, the promotion has only successfully drawn big crowds in Philadelphia at the ECW arena, and not really anywhere else. So, with many big name wrestlers being flown in for all these shows, it's thought that even the ECW arena shows might not be very profitable. It's part of the reason.
No.
Yeah, right. You mean jam-packing 1,000 people in there with a crowbar? That's not going to do it for you?
Lie.
It's possible, or rather, it's part of the reason that the promotion is thought to be in a lot of debt with no turnaround in sight, and some wonder if the extreme nature of the promotion will ever be economically viable. Well, spoiler, no. There have been discussions of running pay-per-views to make up for the losses, but Heyman doesn't think that the company is ready yet and is hesitant to make that jump. SEG, the company that runs UFC pay-per-views, has expressed interest in putting ECW on pay-per-view, but Heyman thinks that if they go on pay-per-view before they have major national exposure and the first buy rate flops, it would hurt them in the long run.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not totally wrong there. I mean,
I think he's totally right.
Yeah, it's not a bad way of thinking. Like,
keep in mind, we're about 2
years
years away from that first pay-per-view too. So,
oh, I know, and they're talking in '95 about we need to have a pay-per-view. We need to do a pay-per-view. It doesn't happen until what is it? The spring,
April, I want to say '97. Yeah, smack dab the start of spring.
Yeah. So, was it Living Dangerously?
Barely legal, wasn't it? Was it barely legal?
Or yeah, I think you're right. Or
that is correct.
But anyway, yeah,
makes me feel funny.
It makes me tickle in places.
Chris Farley's big scary bear body.
Oh my gosh. Well, now a bear is something completely different. So. The Gangstas have given Smoky Mountain Wrestling notice that they are leaving and headed for ECW.
Oh.
I wonder where that's going to go. That's not going to, come up to blow up in anybody's face anytime soon.
I like how he has Sabu and New Jack, as Paul Heyman, pronouns pal, in his history, some of the most notorious, a-holes to work with.
Right.
And they basically started with Paul-ish.
Yeah. Right. Well, you wouldn't think that a team like that would start with Smoky Mountain Wrestling. But there you go.
I love how Cornette hates all the deathmatch wrestling and all that stuff, and I do too. But he liked New Jack. He had him there. He used him.
I assume he didn't let him do all the weapons stuff then. So I think he
totally,
just liked the
he totally didn't, but everything he says, having him on his payroll just negates everything he's ever said.
Right. Well, he should have known this. I think sometimes he can be dumb and immature, but other times he can be fairly intelligent. And he should have known this, not even in retrospect, because it's easy to say, well, 2020 hindsight, whatever.
Yeah.
He should have known that there and then that was the bad kind of heat. Which he says now, he's like, oh, well, they were getting the bad kind of heat down in the South. You don't effing say.
The two black men using race as a heat magnet wasn't working out, huh?
Calling everybody crackers and honkies, bringing out a white baby doll and a noose. Yeah, no, that's going to totally be the right kind of heat down in the South.
Oh man! Not laughing at all the stuff, laughing at the premise. Wow.
Yeah, I know. But anyway, So at an untelevised ECW house show in front of about 300 fans, Cactus Jack had a weird match with Ian Rotten. Tell me another one.
Wait, hold on. Just a weird match?
Yeah, I know, not a.
That's a step up
match.
from what it could have been, to be fair.
Yeah, right. It got lucky. Anyway,
when I hear weird match and Axel Rotten, my mind goes in like 40 directions. So.
Yeah, well.
You're freaking speechless. I love it.
This one, Cactus Jack had said to fans, or that the fans had seen enough bloodshed, and that he was going to have a scientific match, and he did. Then he grabbed the mic and started leading the crowd in a boring chant. Then Cactus told the crowd that if anyone wanted to, or if anyone was faxing a report to Dave Meltzer of the show, tell him it was a 5-star match.
Good Lord.
After a bunch of rest holds.
I'm always for taking a shot at Meltzer, by the way. So.
Oh, yeah. After a bunch of rest holds, the match finally broke down, and they both started bleeding and using chairs, of course.
I want to go back to the scientific part real quick. What were you saying?
Yeah, right. The gimmick seemed to be that both men wanted to have a scientific match, but couldn't because violence runs in their veins. Okie doke.
Yeah.
A little weird. Also, how 1995 of him to say, "Oh, if you're faxing him a report," like, okay.
Oh man, I missed that. Yeah.
Yeah. Not email, because he does have an email address open to, he'll always be like, if you got a report for such and such show, send it in to blah, blah, blah. I don't know.
Unless it's in the Tokyo Dome. I already know the ratings, don't worry.
Yeah, right. I should send him a report of like a local indie show and just say that every match was 5 stars. Blew the doors off, packed to the rafters.
It's like that famous Bunkhouse Buck versus Jimmy Graffiti match that Eric Bischoff said he gave him a $250,000 bonus because he tore the doors, tore the roof off of the arena in Mississippi.
Right. Well, I would just send him something and be like, "Oh yeah, well, Bunkhouse Buck made a surprise appearance at this random indie show, and Dayton, and it was it was awesome. The crowd just went nuts. The babies got thrown in the air."
They didn't get New though because New Jack wasn't there.
Yeah, right. But
always got to bring it back around, dude.
Yep,
it's a good podcast right there.
Good Lord.
When you listen to a lot, you learn stuff. Okay.
So, speaking of these guys again, the Gangstas no-showed their final scheduled dates with Smoky Mountain Wrestling and jumped to ECW earlier than planned. Life comes at you fast. And
I just watched that last night. Wow.
Wait, what?
Ferris Bueller.
Oh, duh. I don't know why I didn't think about that.
Because you're an idiot.
I just used the line, not thinking about the damn movie it's from. But, so, it gets better, though. The Headbangers filled in for them on Smoky Mountain. Oy vey. I mean, don't get me wrong, that is better. But,
the old Headbangers.
Yeah. Well, we got to get our money's worth. The Headbangers.
That's better.
Hey, you backwoods redneck white folks. I know you can't get the Gangstas, so we're going to bring out the guys who look like they just came from a Marilyn Manson concert.
Okay, you mean the guys who did just come from a Marilyn Manson concert? What do you mean look like?
Yeah. They look like members of Coal Chamber. Come on out.
What the hell's that? And do I want to know?
It's like a 90s, early 2000s, like, they do similar stuff to Marilyn Manson, that kind of music. So, yeah, that should tell you what you need to know there. But anyway, yeah, so getting on with this, though, the Gangstas showed up at the ECW show and brawled with Public Enemy and were, quote, arrested.
Oh, man, there's money.
Hell yeah, man. and they were arrested since they aren't supposed to be ECW wrestlers. As opposed to their real arrests that have happened multiple times. Well, I don't know about Mustafa. New Jack, yes.
On record, public record, yes.
Yeah, well, they called him the N-word first, so he had to stab him.
Again, watch Dark Side of the Ring, folks. He claims this.
Yep, everybody called him the N-word.
Anything made up.
Yep, everybody had to call him the N-word, and so that's why he stabbed them. Or
there are a plethora of other things you can call that man. Okay,
right. I wouldn't go straight to the racial. But anyway, the latest ECW show featured an angle where Beulah was supposed to face Luna Vachon, but Stevie Richards hit Luna with a chair. And then when Tommy
That's a
Dreamer...
real sentence, folks.
Yep. And then when Tommy Dreamer ran in, Raven attacked him and broke his fingers. They then handcuffed Luna to the ropes and were going to hit her with a chair, but Dreamer dove in front of her and took the hit before being stretchered out.
Good man, I guess. But
yeah. This would continue. Well, we reviewed a show not long ago, an ECW show, where it was Richards and Luna in a cage. You remember that?
I do remember that, yes. It was one of the earlier shows.
Yeah.
I think it might have been just a random show we did, not a pay-per-view. I think.
I'm trying to see. Our latest ECW show was not it when we did Anarchy Rules with Kyle from Apron Bump. It was way before Heatwave 95. That was it. Rage in a Cage.
So, okay. So I was right. I knew it wasn't a pay-per-view, but I knew it had a name. It wasn't just, okay.
Right. Yeah. It was one of them where, like, in between every match, they do the static and then they go into the next match. So that's how it wasn't. It was like, produced way after the fact. And there were still production issues. Last story I got for June here. At the same show, Tod Gordon announced Chris Benoit wouldn't be there because of airline problems. Uncle Dave says this was not true and said Benoit missed for personal reasons, but didn't elaborate. Wow, he didn't elaborate on personal issues for once? How about it? Gordon also announced that Benoit had turned down WWF's offer and would be staying with ECW. Why? I don't know. Uncle Dave says that this also isn't true and that Benoit hasn't made a decision yet. Oh, man. Lots of truths coming from ECW here. In fact, WWF's offer has improved because they've told Benoit that he can still work his New Japan dates as long as New Japan gives them 3 months' notice. I mean, that's cool because I can't see them using Benoit all the time around this era. I could be wrong. He just didn't seem like up their alley, smaller than Brett even. But and Brett Brett wasn't great on the mic, but Brett could cut a halfway decent promo. Benoit, not really. If you want to go with a weakness of his, that was definitely it.
You ever know some of the very best wrestlers can't cut promos for the most part?
Yeah, right. Yeah, we covered that on another show. I can't remember what one it was. We were talking about. It's like it seems to have changed recently, but back in the day, it's like, oh, you're a really good wrestler. That means you can't talk for crap, or you have zero personality.
And a lot of times, the ones who can talk the best aren't really great wrestlers.
Right. Oddly enough, like Owen Hart was a great wrestler and he could cut a great promo, but they never made him a top guy.
When it was coherent.
Yeah, well, I shouldn't say great promo. He cut decent promos. He made especially the stuff against Brett was good, but
like when he kicked his leg out of his leg.
Yeah. See, when I hear that, I think of what Brett used to do to Mr. Perfect, where he would kick him in the back of the leg and he'd backflip. Right. That's what I'd always think of. But that wraps up June. We're going a little longer than we thought here, so we're going to take a break right here, kind of split this into two, and we'll talk about that on right after this break and kind of let you know what's coming up in the week ahead right after this. Follow the Main Event Marks at Facebook.com/Main Event Marks Pod, on Twitter at Main Event _Marks, and on Instagram both at Main Event _Marks and at Main Event Collector.
What's up, everybody? I am the hardest part of the ring, the host of the Apron Bump podcast. Ugh, another wrestling podcast. How many times can I listen to fans tell me who needs a push, who doesn't need a push, who brings Vince's coffee these days? Enough! The Apron Bump is about the journey. It's about nostalgia. It's about discovering new forms of wrestling to really tickle your pickle as a wrestling fan. The podcast brings you reviews of wrestling events all over the world, whether it's WWF, WWE, WCW, ECW. We even cover the golden eras of Ring of Honor, Progress, TNA, and more promotions in the future as well. New episodes every Wednesday. Bump day, yeah? Go to apronbump.com or go to your favorite podcast platform or YouTube and subscribe today for the most diverse, fan-friendly wrestling podcast in the world. I'm Hard.
The Main Event Marks are available wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. Find all of our links on our link tree at linktr.ee/Main Event Marks. And we're back. So, to wrap things up here, we're going to bring you a part 2 next week, next Friday, actually. So, right before New Year's Day weekend, or New Year's weekend, whatever. I can't word today, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think
right
I got
right before the New Year's. It's a nice little treat while you're all, a lot of people are on vacation at this time, sitting around, got nothing to do, or even playing their new video games that they got for Christmas. So check out the bonus shows, and we'll see if you guys like them. First time we've ever done like a whole year of an entire organization. So it's going to be big. Didn't figure you'd want to sit around for like 5 hours listening to this, but it is what it is. So check out part 2 coming next Friday. So we've got 2 double main event weeks for you. Next week, we'll let you know we're also coming at you with Starrcade 1992 that's dropping during the week. So on Wednesday, look for that. And next Friday will be part dose of ECW in 1995. I would say thank you for joining me today, Greg, but I don't think you had as much fun as I did.
Yeah, well, define fun.
Yeah, well, we had fun laughing, but yeah. Either way, it's 1995 and it's ECW, so it's a combo of things that we love. Anyway, it's been a show, but either way, we'll come at you next week with WCW Starrcade 1992, and next Friday with part 2 of ECW in 1995.
Ho, 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 ho! Merry Christmas!